And you know what I just did, Cheese
What?
Masters? I leaned on my elbow, like, to get ready to do the introduction. I was like, guess what, Cheese Masters? How you doing? This is
Wow.
ridiculous. I know. That's how we're keeping that shit in. Hey there, Cheese Meisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod. That would have been Saving Forever for You by Shanice. That was playing when Brandon and Nikki were slow dancing, and then horizontally slow dancing. And the shot of which is where you can see that Godzilla is still on the wall, getting ready to wake people up.
I missed that because
I've turned eagle eye about Godzilla. I don't know why. Yeah. I am Jeff, and I have no rhythm. And joining me on the other end of the internet, my cuz-host.
I'm Leslie, and I hate to admit it, but antibiotics work sometimes.
Sometimes. Yeah, I like your Dylan. It's good.
Thank you.
It's gravelly. This week, Cheese Meisters, we are doing Season 3, Episode 11, A Presumption of Innocence. Original air date, October 21st, 1992. Here's the problem with this episode. It comes after the greatest episode ever.
Yep.
It's such a fucking letdown after Home and Away, and the glory that is David Silver rapping and solving gang violence and forming a circle and fucking Kelly line dancing. I mean, how can this compete with that?
It couldn't. It's kind of like whenever... See, and I can't even remember what episode came after everybody's talking about it, but that was such a disappointment to me because that's been my favorite episode so far.
Sure. Let's see what came after everybody's talking about it. I gotta look. All right, Season 2, episode whatever it was. So this is your Baby Makes 5, or this is my Baby Makes 5. Like, this is far less farcical. It's like no dentist office receptionist being up in everybody's business. No, instead, what we get out of this one is fucking even more Mrs. Scanlon, and even more, by which I mean any at all, Uncle fucking Henry. Because fuck. All right. So here's what happens in this episode. Fresh off of solving gang violence by rapping, it's Dylan's birthday. He's turning 18, which means that if we're paying attention to these things, Dylan's birthday is in October.
He's a Libra.
But Donna, okay, I agree. But Donna, whose birthday we know is on Christmas, is, right?
Yeah.
We know this. It happened last year. She turned 18 Christmas of junior year.
Oh.
Making her canonically the oldest person in our friend group.
Which she's definitely not.
But the youngest, maybe in real life, except for David, except for Brian. So that's a choice. That's kind of weird. But so it's Dylan's birthday, and even though he is disgusting, he is sneezing and sniffling and clearly not well, they give him a knife and have him spit on a cake that everyone then has to eat, which is real fucking gross.
Y'all were spoiled before the pandemic.
Happy birthday to me. Officially, just for the record, I was quite sick on my 9th birthday. And on my 7th birthday. It just happened to, like, odd years, I just caught some shit. You should see the pictures of I think it's my 9th birthday. There's a picture of everyone around me and the cake in front of me, and I am wearing a blanket, and I'm like, I'm the saddest sack on the planet. And I still blew the candles out, and all these people ate my germs. So it was a wild time in the 80s, everybody.
We were made of stronger stuff.
Oh, man.
No.
I don't know how much time I want to spend digging through boxes at my mom's house to find that picture, but it does amuse me how just sad I looked. I was just this sick little birthday boy. Ooh,
Yep.
rough. Anyway, Dylan spits on the cake and everybody eats it. Um, and but he didn't want to go to the doctor because fuck off, doctors. Yeah. But you know who gets some cake? Gil, who's hanging out at the Peach Pit with all the high school girls, as one does. Look, in Gil's defense.
Nope.
This is my position. All episode is going to be in Gil's defense. I've decided.
No.
In Gil's defense, you're just going to not get a mega burger because teenagers go there? Fuck that. Get your mega burger, Gil.
Go, but don't act like you're part of the party. Like,
Well,
fucking set some boundaries and be like, hey, y'all are kids and I'm a teacher. Like, yeah, we're out of school right now, but, you know, this is for y'all.
I mean, I kind of think he did. He was standing at the counter. Like, the party was happening in the booths. People just kept coming over and bothering him. Like,
he's invited this attention. Look at what he's been wearing.
Well, okay. I mean, I get it. And he does have that beard. And
he's been asking for it, Jeff.
Okay.
These are promising young people.
I'm just saying, in Gil's defense. In Gil's defense, let the man eat some fucking cake. Look, quit coming over to him. If you don't... What did you say?
Wearing those tight jeans.
I'm telling you. Look, if Andrea doesn't come over and bother Gil, he's just having a piece of cake. If Sue doesn't come over and offer to just get naked at no prompting, like, Gil is just having a mega burger and a piece of germ cake. Like, what Gil is already, he's where you want him to be. He is, my name's Paul, and this is between y'all. He's just over here. Right? And the bitches just keep coming. I mean, he can't stop them. It's terrible. And then...
Yes, he can. He's an adult who should know better and set better boundaries.
And then, you know what happens? He leaves school. He goes home, and these sons of bitches follow him to his house. They call...
Yes, because he hasn't this attention.
And call him, and it goes straight to voicemail. Gil is saying, I'm out. And they won't leave him alone, poor Gil. They just won't.
He doesn't have to invite them in.
I don't know, man. If you live up there and no one comes to visit you in your sad little house, and then suddenly, like, two teenage boys with really nice hair show up, you're not going to let them in? I mean, come on.
Correct.
You gotta. No, you'd be a friend, you know, you'd just be a good guy, Gil. In Gil's defense. I can't even.
See, you know this is bullshit. Like, you know you're playing devil's advocate, and you can't even do it. You can't even do it.
Look, I can't, except for, like, factually, Gil's just there eating cake. Like, they do keep coming up to him. He's not showing up at their party. He just wants a good old hamburger. God bless it. Whatever. Let's move on. We'll come back to why Gil didn't do anything wrong. Later.
Didn't do anything right either.
Well, I don't know. I think this is a sticky wicket, and I think Gil kind of tried, but
he didn't do anything right.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're gonna. So let's do this real quick, because I know the answer is it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Did Leslie throw up in her mouth? Or throw something in this episode?
I think I blacked out from anger.
Yeah, at which point did you go, fuck everybody?
I'm cataloging some moments.
I'm very sorry to put you back in that headspace.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's rough.
Laughing is fine, as long as there's also, like, I'm sorry for putting you through that.
Yes, I apologize.
I think what upset me the most, well, what first set me off is the fact that Brandon was on some she's out of her mind. Gil could never do anything. Like on some like anti-women shit.
Right.
And yeah, and I'm gonna try and not rant this episode because no one needs that. It's already a heavy enough episode. But like, if there are things that I have to explain to you why they're wrong, you know what? We're going to provide some resources for you
there you go.
In the social media, and you can seek help because I'm not a therapist.
No one in this episode is a therapist, but everybody's having people's business. Like that's 100% going on in this episode. So we only got to the birthday party.
I know.
People out there don't even know why Gil didn't do anything wrong and why you're so upset. So, there are two competing storylines happening. Not competing, dovetailing storylines. 3, I suppose. Sue is very upset. And because she got a bad grade on an English test. And to Gil's point, who is right, it is very difficult to pass English if you don't ever come to class, Sue. So maybe showed up to class. Maybe do that. But I guess Mrs. Teasley like calls her mom or something and is like, Sue's not doing so good. It's October and we're having problems. Like she's been here for 2 months. She didn't even go. You know what kind of problem Sue is right now? Sue didn't care enough to go stop gang violence by forming a circle last week. If she really cared, she would have been involved. Oh, wait, she was there. She didn't care about the gang violence. She just cared about David. Sue. Anyway.
Sue is spiraling.
Sue is, she's up to some stuff. She's not doing well. And she closes the door, and thank God for the set designers and hopefully thank God for the way high schools were in 1992, that there were windows in those doors. It's very important in a school that there are windows in the doors so that you can close them but still be seen from outside so that no horrible things happen in classrooms. Just FYI, it's important. Closes the door and hugs Gil, and then she runs out crying. Then the next day, Brenda, whose job it is to take notes around the building, know
the school's business.
Oh yeah, Brenda's all up in this shit. She brings a note to Gil's class after he's talking about Poe and Hawthorne and
Only Men again.
Who else he was talking about? I don't remember who he's talking about. But the dark side and the symbolism. It was symbolism. He was mad. And then he's out of school. He's gone. No one knows what happened. Boy, I hope Gil's all right. And turns out Sue has accused Gil of inappropriate something. We don't get the details. No matter how much Uncle Henry wants all of the details, Jesus Christ. But Brandon, of course, doesn't think Gil did anything wrong because Gil. Andrea, of course, thinks Gil did everything wrong because Gil. Nikki wants to go dancing. This is the other storyline. But Brandon doesn't dance. He doesn't have any rhythm. And they go to a club and Brandon's a dick. And he storms out. He leaves Nikki to be taken home by Steve, who, to Steve's unending credit here, is like, Brandon, your girlfriend is really hot. And I was a good boy. Like, she was all up on me. And I'm not going to pretend I didn't enjoy that shit because I enjoyed that shit. But I'm going to go over here now. And so good job, Steve, for once.
Yeah.
And Brandon doesn't want to dance, but Nikki wants to dance. And Brandon was going to take a lesson from David, which never happened because there's too much happening and the Blaze is mess and Gil's out and everybody's just so bad things. And so Brandon takes a dancing lesson from Nikki, and then they go to a club because he knows that going to a club makes his girlfriend feel romantic, and dancing and shit. And Andrea won't leave it alone with Sue. Like, has to keep finding out, gets an invite into the Scanlon residence, which is not a place anyone wants to go. Even though they had lots of great memories there, like including birthdays where your child died. Maybe, I don't know that living in that house is a good idea, because that house is dealing with some shit. To be honest,
there's not enough stage to cleanse.
No, there are demons. That house is built on an ancient Indian burial ground. Like, there's bad juju going on in that house. Like, they didn't even bother to move the bodies. They just took up the headstones. This is straight poltergeist, what's going on in this house.
Yikes.
And Sue recants her story about Gil, because it wasn't Gil who did these things to her. It was her fucking asshole Uncle Henry. And she was worried. This is information we get in a neat little wrap-up scene at the end. That she was worried that he was going to start with the little sister, which seems a well-founded concern.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Gil's back at school. Brandon goes to dance. Dylan gets over the sickness that he got from getting in dirty water in the ocean. But even though he's 18, he did not register to vote in time, and now he cannot vote in the election. But Donna knew this already because she turned 18 10 months ago, dear Lord. And now she is registered to vote. And so he's hipping her to some of the down ballot initiatives that are really important. Things you got to make sure that you're paying attention to and voting on. Not just top of the ticket issues. All matters. Mm-hmm. And that's what happens.
I think it's really cool, the synchronicity of when this episode came out and when we're recording it, because it is October 20th.
Yep.
And we are also weeks away from a big election.
Yep. But when you're hearing this, #time machine, that election has happened. And so we're just gonna be here today.
No. Exactly.
So retroactively, go vote.
Yes. Oh my God.
And also maybe join up with the Friends of the Bay, because it's important. Ocean. And you know what? If you're into that, talk to Ted Danson. He's big into keeping the oceans clean.
I know.
It has been a thing. He's got a podcast sometimes with Woody Harrelson. And and they interview people, and it's pretty fun. It's an entertaining little show. But that's been his big I don't know, I don't want to say charity, but it's like the thing he's involved in, his cause, since like the 80s. So yeah. Wow. So Ted Danson on this shit even before Dylan McKay, but maybe not Gil. Gil seems he's on it, in Gil's defense. I'm
shaking my head.
So I'm gonna stop talking. Tell me why everyone sucks, mostly Gil.
Okay. The fact that Brenda comes in, talks about to tell the other students, like, so you know how Gil is always flirting with the female students?
Yeah.
Right there. Out. Get the fuck out.
Sure.
I don't care. Like, for the sensitive topic that is the subject of this show, like, it's another one of those, like, how do you can't do this well in 45 minutes. There's a reason why, like, as I was watching it, I went, okay, I know what the big reveal is going to be, but, like, we're running out of time.
They don't even introduce Uncle Henry until there's like 10 minutes left in the episode.
But But I will say the direction of it, because when they brought up Uncle Henry being in Scott's room, Sue did a great job. Like, that's when I knew. I went, fuck, it's the
Right.
uncle. Like, something's happened here. And I know I'm going all over the place, but like, this episode is also kind of all over the place, as one's mind would be if it were addled by sexual trauma.
And if your girlfriend wouldn't stop trying to make you dance, for God's sake. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, so Gil, I've said this before, he does not need to be around students. Like, he doesn't need to be teaching, clearly. I mean, he even says himself, like, maybe I like working with kids too much. You think? Because where he went wrong as a teacher and as an adult was setting good boundaries. You know, he was more worried about being the cool teacher, like many adults are. And you know what? Yeah, word of the wise, kids like dogs, can sniff that out and sense it in adults, and they're not amused by it. Like, I would say more so than ever, they're just like, because they know more, thankfully. But don't be that hip teacher. Don't be that hip adult. They need someone who will listen, who can offer guidance. And again, I don't understand how he just didn't use his brain. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't close this door. Yes, there's a window, but listen, my stomach always clenched anytime someone closed a door.
I get it.
Like, it's not a good sign. No matter what does or doesn't happen in there, like, not a good sign. That sucks. That's terrible that he had 2 students who confided in him and then more or less blamed him for not giving him the help that he needed. That's terrible. But then maybe you should have taken that as an opportunity to go learn more about, like, what resources are available to give to teens who have depression, who are having disturbing thoughts of hurting themselves. You know, like, what can I offer these kids so this doesn't happen again?
And I'm 100% with you there. Like, I feel like if this is something Gil had lived through in the past, and it was as traumatic as he says that it is, and I have no reason to doubt that this is traumatic. Like, yes, of fucking course. I see no signs that he did anything to improve his ability to respond to this. You know, he's just more uncomfortable than he was the last time someone approached him in this manner. He's not any better skilled to handle the situation that he's putting himself in by A, continuing to teach high school girls, B, insisting that they call him by his first name, C, being outwardly flirty, D, trying to be the cool teacher. You know, like, there are some things that are just going to be who you are. Like, when you're doing any, like, one of the things when I was like a new teacher, that one of my mentor teachers said to me is, you should always teach out of your personality. Be who you are. Don't try to be a different person, because that doesn't work. Like, you have to be who you are, bring yourself to the game, you know? And so there's some things, like Gil being kind of a flirt is probably something he's not going to change, you know, because it's just kind of who he is. It's his personality. His default setting is to kind of joke with the kids and stuff like that. He's not going to change that part of him, but you can certainly calibrate, you know, like, you can make choices to remove yourself from situations, like maybe get your burger to go, you know, like stuff like that.
And I don't want to imply that female teachers don't have this same problem, but let's just be honest, percentage-wise and historically, it has happened more for male teachers. And I feel like male teachers, if they listen and if they understand, I feel like the way you have to be with your female students is how every woman feels she needs to be with any new guy. You have to set such a level, monotone, so that they. Ooh, and I hit the mic. I'm so sorry. Oh. I know. I'm mad. I'm mad. You have to set such a level tone so that they don't get any idea. And that's really fucking hard to do.
Right.
You know, at least when you're at work, I think it's more possible. And you can still, like you were saying, you know, teach from your personality, let that come out. I think that's where it's possible to still be that cool teacher, if you want to be, while setting rules and guidelines, while setting a boundary, you know? Because here's the thing too, and I learned this from my mom. If you try to be their friend first, you're never going to get them to respect you or listen to you.
Yeah.
My mom taught, if I've never brought that up on here.
You have.
Oh, okay.
Mostly around math trauma.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the traumas of Leslie Spitzner.
That's rough.
It is rough.
Amber agrees.
I know. It's just like I've absorbed them all, Mom.
That's right.
So, yeah, where do we go from here? Because I could ramble on and on why Gil doesn't need to be teaching, even though, you know, he found himself in an unfortunate situation. But again, the fact that they described him as a teacher who flirts with female students, the fact that Andrea is so uncomfortable around him because, again, she's projecting onto him what happened with Kirsten.
Yeah.
Understandable. She's a kid. She doesn't know how to process that.
Also, congratulations for remembering. I mean,
yeah.
Like, it's nice. Such a weird sentence to start with. It's nice. But it's nice that Andrea demonstrates that she has had trauma.
Yeah.
Because, like, everybody's like, that house is real weird since Scott died a year ago. Like, it's coming up on the 1-year anniversary of when he killed himself on his birthday in their house. And
yeah, the Scanlons have never gotten over it. I wonder why.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know, the dad is just off doing other stuff, and, you know, thank God Uncle Henry's here to drink brown liquor and fuck the little kids.
So, something I thought of just now, too, with Andrea and her trauma. I don't know that they had this term. I feel like it had to have been somewhere under another term or being explored, but, like, she definitely has a thing about grooming, which is what Suter did to her, did to Brenda, more or less. Yeah. You know, and that's the kind of stuff I don't know how you fire someone for. Because, you know, people are going to watch this and go, well, he didn't actually do anything.
Right.
He shouldn't be around kids.
Yeah.
So if he can learn how to set those boundaries properly,
yeah,
he is grooming these young women.
Right.
Whether or not he knows it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I don't want to be in the in Gil Meyer's defense camp. Even though it's fun. It's very fun for me to be in Gil Meyer's defense. I gotta be honest.
And see the smoke coming off of my...
Yeah. But, like, he just doesn't know how not... He didn't do the wrong thing. He just doesn't know how to do the right thing. You know? Yes. And there's this thing that just keeps coming back to my mind. And it is, I'm sure, not the way everyone is. But I gotta feel that a lot of people are like this. If you're a guy going into teaching, I was a guy teaching high school students and then grade school students and whatever till I got out of that business. But I'm not capable as a human being to walk into a room and go, Now, how am I going to handle it when half these bitches want me?
Oh my god.
Do you know what I mean? Like the idea that that Gil should know how to respond to these circumstances when like they're just throwing themselves at him. I mean, this guy can't even go get a hamburger without like freshman girls offering to get naked. Like, so maybe Gil should have had a different mindset because it keeps happening to him. But like, I didn't go into teaching thinking, how am I going to handle it when this one thinks I'm sexy? I just,
that's fair.
That's like that's not who I am as a person. That's not my like default setting. I mean, it should be. Here we are.
For a generation you claim was raised in fear, I don't see you moving around the world with the same level of fear that I.
Well, sure. That's, but there's reasons for that, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, imagine being a woman my age who had all the shit that I've told you about, plus the woman part of it. So, yeah, I don't know. So, what do you think this episode is really about?
I have some ideas.
You're not gonna like mine, FYI, because I'm full of shit. So anyway, continue.
I have some ideas. One of the first things I thought of kind of is going to end up sounding victim blaming. So, and that's not how I mean it at all. So we're leaving that one out.
Okay.
Because what I'll say is this: sometimes you can set all the boundaries and it doesn't matter because someone doesn't care.
Right.
Or you're too young to know what those boundaries are and someone abuses that. So leave it at that. I do think this episode is about how giving people helpful resources is sometimes greater than advice.
Uh-huh.
I love all the peer-to-peer communication that happens in this because I think it's helpful in teaching kids how to be there for one another. But at the end of the day, it's the adults who need to be able to give resources to these kids. Like, and unfortunately, watch out for the signs of like, there may be something going on here. Like maybe you should, I wonder if Mrs. Teasley could offer you some guidance. I know you're mad at her about some things, but she is the guidance counselor, right? She's
I don't know, vice principal. It's hard to say.
She's a lot of things. She might be needing a break from counseling after the last few weeks.
I know. These kids.
But, I mean, as an intimacy choreographer, I have resources because I'm not a therapist. And people don't need to be telling me why their boundaries are the way they are, but sometimes they do.
Right.
And it's like, thank you for trusting me, but also, if you need some resources, I can give you those.
Right.
And that's what I think, that's one thing that I think this episode is about, how what you can offer people in terms of resources is better than advice.
Well, I mean, and you see it too with, in defense of Gil, when he's talking to Dylan. When he's like, have you heard of the Friends of the Bay? They're looking for volunteers. You should get involved. And then when Dylan brings those same resources to Donna, when it's like peer counseling, hey, you can vote. Did you know about this thing that's really important to me? Let me show you. Like providing the resources. Andrea giving Sue, trying to give Sue like the, whatever she called it, the peer counseling resource.
Yeah.
She didn't bring up rap line, which is a shame. Because, we like rap line as much as the next.
Could have heard this a lot sooner in the story.
That's true. So you're right. I think there's a lot of shared resources going on.
Yeah. And then, again, this one is reaching, but the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, no, this is true. We can change more than the president with voting.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks voting is just about who's in office.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And a big part of it is. But what do you think those people are doing? Those people are in charge of all these things that we're not aware of until it may be too late.
Right.
You know, in this case, he wants to talk to Donna about, you know, helping the environment.
Mm-hmm.
The Friends of the Bay.
Yeah.
Clearly people need to be more involved with the school board and voting people in and out, because whoever is hiring at West Bev needs to be fired immediately.
And everyone else who's listening knows what happens at the end of this season, and the school board matters.
Oh no.
The school board's important. Like, we're having a school board election here in Chicago this year. Like, there's been a whole fucking thing going on where, like, the head of the school board and the mayor and then the whole school board quit or something. I don't know. There's elections. I'm getting text messages. It's a thing. So now it matters.
Yeah. All of these things matter. Like, voting is important for who's on your school board. Voting is important for how your community is being run, being taken care of. All these things that you don't even think of until you see a problem. You know? Yes. Animals.
That's right.
Animals. Taking care of animals.
Yeah.
I know, honey.
It's tough.
It's very tough. So, like...
We're like,
she's been surfing too much.
You know,
she's been.
I'm telling you, the water is rough out there, man.
Baby, she's just sneezing or something. You okay? You mad I'm working?
I get it, man. It's tough.
So yeah, I could go on and on, but I think people listening have heard it enough. Like, voting, it's not just about changing the president. It's about taking care of all these things, including my dog.
Right. Obey my dog.
It's important, people.
There's something that you said earlier that reminded me of a thing about teachers providing resources and peer counseling. And have you watched any of English Teacher yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. Have I talked to you about this show?
No.
Okay. It's on FX.
I've seen ads for it.
Yeah, it's really fucking funny. And it just finished up the first season, like the first 8 episodes. And the main character, who is also like the show creator, is a English teacher in Austin, Texas. He is gay, he is out, he is having relationship things going on. He's got a best friend at the school. The gym teacher is fucking hilarious. The principal he's the dad in Veronica Mars. Like, I love him so much. He's so good. Anyway, in the season finale, a kid comes up to the main teacher, and he's like, after school or after class is out, he comes up and the teacher's sitting at the desk, and the kid is like, I need to tell somebody I'm gay. And I know that you're gay and you're out, and I'm hoping that you can like provide some guidance. He's like, what are you talking about? It is 2024. Go out in the hallway and tell all of the gay kids out there that you're gay. They will hug you and help you. He's like, I am 35. I am the wrong person to help you with this. But these kids, they got your back. And it was such a different message. It was like not the direction you expected that conversation to go. But he's right. You ready to be mad at me? This episode is about women making men do things they don't want to do. Repeatedly throughout the episode. Check it out. Dylan doesn't want to go to the doctor, but Brenda won't fucking get off his ass about it. So he goes to the doctor. He takes antibiotics, which it turns out they work. I mean, Dylan, who still has a pediatrician, God bless him, at 17, 18, is amazing, but is browbeaten into going to the doctor. David does not want to go to the Scanlon house. Look, and in David's defense, I'm just defending everybody this week. In David's defense, a year ago, he came to this house and watched his best friend shoot himself. This place, it's like going back into the haunted house for David. And he does it anyway because Donna fucking makes him. Brandon doesn't want to dance. I have no rhythm. I have no interest in this. Nikki won't stop it. She won't stop making him go to dance clubs. When he does go to a dance club, she won't stop grinding up on everybody. And so eventually, Brandon has to dance because these women won't let these men be. That's what this episode's really about. I'm telling you, the things that these episodes are really about are frequently not the things that they mean to say. But it's there.
And that's why when I realized that it was going to be Uncle Henry and not Gil, I thought, oh, great, we're getting a story about, see, they do lie sometimes. And it's like, and thankfully, they handled it gently. But Gil never would have been asked back. I'm sorry.
Right.
Like, Gil never would have been brought back. He never would have been allowed to walk into that school to get his stuff. Someone else would have done it for him.
Yeah. But I tell you what, he would not have been fired. He would have been there. There's this thing that CPS has, Chicago Public Schools, that is like for teachers they can't fire, but don't want anywhere in the classroom anymore for any number of reasons. These teachers, there's like a room they have to go to and sit in for 8 hours a day. And there are teachers who are doing that and have done it for years because they get paid. They're still eligible for their pension, but they can't go. They're not. It's not a good idea for them to be working in schools. And it's not all stuff Gil Myers was accused of stuff.
Okay.
But like it, because I don't know a whole lot about it. I just know it exists and I've seen stories about it. And it's crazy, fucked up, weird. But teachers' unions are powerful, and we should have unions, but they also have to protect assholes.
Yeah.
So, but these women just making men do stuff they don't want to do. It's rough.
It's so hard for you all, and yet you all are the dumb ones still wanting to be with us and date us.
You know what? We soldier on.
I think deep down you all know we're awesome, and it's you who need to learn to be better.
I mean, how could I possibly?
I'm sure Laura could give me a list.
I'm sure you could. But at the top of it is going to be hashtag good husband, and then, but also.
Hey, just because you're an awesome partner, husband, wife, doesn't mean there isn't stuff that can be improved, that can't be improved upon.
That's right.
You
sound motivated.
Humans are always. Did
you like my Gil Myers hand acting? You sound motivated. You should talk to the friends.
What I'm motivated to do, Gil?
Bitch slap.
Cross your face.
That's right. Take it, Gil. Eat it.
Ew. No. None of those things for Gil.
Gil doesn't get to eat it.
That's so yeah.
That's your punishment, Gil.
You don't get to eat it.
Yeah.
On a completely different note,
yes.
But not really. This is definitely Brandon and Nikki consummate their relationship in this episode.
Oh my god, they're so horny for each other.
I mean, well, yeah, and there was an episode of Dawson's Creek where Andy's trying to get Pacey and all the others to go to a dance, and the only way she can lure them in is by saying, some consider dancing to be foreplay.
Nikki does.
Nikki does. She knows what she's on about. Mm-hmm. And finally gets, again, I get why Brandon's friends are giving him a hard time, because he doesn't really give a good reason why. Right. But then again, if you really don't want to do something, and if I'm practicing what I preach, you don't have to give a reason.
Right.
People just need to respect that. But then also, don't slut shame your girlfriend, Right. Or, crazy idea, maybe dating someone who likes dancing isn't for you.
Yeah. If that's a deal breaker, but as we just saw, people are capable of change. People can
Yes.
try literally every sport in the school and then put on a Letterman's sweater. Or
That's true.
they can just take off their poodle skirt and put on leather. Whichever one of those is the greater hardship, I think, is up to the audience to decide. Who really did the most changing in Greece, I think, is what I'm saying.
Hey, to fit into those pants, who knows?
Mhm.
Who knows what she had to go through?
Oh, there's a reason she was smoking. I gotta smoke myself thin. Yeah. Okay, here's the. Oh yeah, a little bumpy. Here's another thing I think this episode is about. This episode is gross Reese's. Because this is two bad tastes that don't taste good together by combining the issues of child abuse and ocean pollution. What a gross cocktail that is. And throw in there, maybe you can't vote because you didn't register in time, Dylan. And how about spitting on people's birthday cakes and shit and then making Gil eat it, which I know Gil's not supposed to eat it, but maybe he can eat that. I'm not sure where the line is with what Gil's allowed to eat anymore. Complicated world. But I did find these interrelated storylines of the dancing in the ocean and the child abuse to be really weird. Like it felt like Brandon was involved in 2 different storylines. 3.
Yeah.
Brandon was involved in. That's a lot for any one kid to have to do, to think of 3 things at the same time. But he's like dealing with this pressure of the dancing because man, women, and he's dealing with the Blaze is in it's a disarray, and there's schoolwork happening. There's an election coming up. I can't vote in, but I'm probably upset about it. He's got the Gil stuff. He's got to be Woodward and Bernstein trying to figure out what really happened. When what he should do is just let the Andrea and Brenda detective agency take care of it from back in the Rapline days. Usually a character is involved in like a story. Brandon's like everywhere. It's fucking exhausting.
Which is Brandon behavior.
It really is. Yeah, he needs to be involved. But there's just I don't know what those 3 storylines have to do with one another, other than we got to get these out of the way because there's some stuff we got to handle starting next week.
Oh no.
Yeah. But before we get to that, what did this make you nostalgic for?
What a weird thing.
I know, right?
When I was living back home a few years ago, I found this swing dancing group. That would meet up on Wednesdays at Wix when there was a Wix in New Albany. And I met a lot of friends there. Oh my God, honey. Anyway, it was a good time. I had a lot of fun swing dancing, good, fairly good community. There was one like creep in the bunch, which kind of like slowly fizzled out after that. But again, at least I got to enjoy the swing dancing group for like, I don't know, a year or 2.
Nice.
Yeah, good times.
Excellent. Let's see, what does this make me nostalgic for? I guess this made me nostalgic for the 1992 presidential election. Like,
oh God.
I couldn't vote either. I was 16. But I was, following along, and they're not talking enough about Ross Perot in this episode.
No.
Which they really should. They're not talking nearly enough about Dana Carvey's impression of George H.W. Bush. Not talking about Phil Hartman's Bill Clinton. All of it is, for me, Saturday Night Live related, it seems. But that's what I miss. That's what I'm nostalgic for this episode. And I'm hoping that the background filters work.
Me too.
Because poor Ember is just having one today.
Yeah.
That's okay. I get it. It's tough.
When do we get to watch the Shannon and Luke SNL episodes?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that one of them is coming up soon, actually. I feel like one of them is in November of 92, and the other, I think, is in the spring. Okay. Luke Perry hosts in February. So we got a little bit of time before that happens. And then I guess Shannon is like beginning of the next year. Let's see. Yeah, she is. She's October of 93. So yeah, so we've got a little while for those. But yeah, they're coming. So
interesting.
Yeah. What we're going to have to start maybe looking at coming up is things like Lifetime movies that they started doing.
Okay.
Because Tori was in a bunch of them, and Jenny did some. Like, for example, Tori does a movie called Mother May I Sleep with Danger.
Oh my God.
I know. Doesn't that sound great? Isn't that the best title for any movie you've ever heard of?
It's close. I know Jenny did a Danielle Steele movie because it was one that I had read, and I was like, oh yeah, this girl's perfect for this role. Again, didn't know who she was.
It's okay. Yeah. So there are things, and we also are going to have. I feel like there was a reason that I was thinking it would be good to watch Tombstone, but Jason Priestley is in Tombstone, so like they're starting to reach out and do other things. So all of that stuff's coming, which is great. All right, who is your Steve Sanders Memorial worst person of the episode, Uncle Henry?
Yeah, it's Uncle Henry. Absolutely. How dare you?
Yeah.
You're a terrible person.
Yep.
Like, I was glad they had the scene in where they were showing some of like his manipulation tactics. Like, I haven't hold on. I haven't heard anything about this.
Yeah.
I was like, mate, you're the one who started it.
Yeah. Give me all the details. Tell me exactly what happened.
Sick bastard.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sucks. Really wish we could have seen him get carted off and chewed out by Mrs. Scanlon. Although, I'm sorry, Mrs. Scanlon totally seems like someone who wouldn't believe her child.
It's amazing she does.
Yeah. You know what? For that, I will thank the writers for keeping this short and sweet, because then it's like, cool. What a nice little bow this got wrapped up in. Everything's fine now. It won't be.
Right.
But at least we know that she believed her daughter.
Yeah.
Thank God.
And at least we're never going to have to deal with it again.
Yeah, I figure that's goodbye, Sue.
I think it is goodbye, Sue. I don't think she shows up again. And Uncle Henry doesn't show up again either. Damn it.
Good. He probably doesn't go to jail either, but he should.
This isn't the worst thing Uncle Henry did. Because that was the rape. Like that was the worst thing he did. But making it so that I can't make Mrs. Scanlon the worst person of the episode is upsetting to me, because she should be the worst person all the time. She sucks.
Shout out to that actress. Like, I was watching her and I thought, like, you can't separate the two. She's
so unlikable. It's a wonderful performance. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And like the way she steps on, like she treats Sue the way she treated Scott, which is like just ignoring what she says. Like, no, you can't do that. Let me tell you all of the wonderful things about my child's friend.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's so overbearing about it. And like, she is wonderfully terrible.
Mm-hmm.
As a human being. So like, props to the performance, because fuck Mrs. Scanlon. She is awful. And it took a child molester to be worse than her.
Jeez.
That's how bad you got to be worse than Sue Scanlon's mom. You have to be an actual child molester. And that is, I mean, just don't hang out with Sue's mom, because like, look, it's going to be bad.
Yeah.
Like the base level is terrible. And then sometimes there's a child molester around. Like, Like,
Jesus.
it is bad. Like, look, you can hang out with Sue's mom, and she's probably going to lecture you. She's probably going to force you to like get guests to a birthday party.
Mm-hmm.
She is going to talk down to you. She's going to ignore you. And sometimes people will shoot themselves in her house, and then a child molester comes to visit.
And she's just going to pretend. I will say, I do think this probably continues in the story that will never be written about. But, like,
yeah,
she wants so badly for everything to just be Leave It to Beaver, easy, no problems.
Real family values.
Yeah, she's just going to, much like she's leaving Scott's room and just away because it's nice. And,
it's a shrine.
It's sad what happened, but we're fine. We're fine.
Yeah. We've got all these VHS tapes of Scotty jumping.
We're going to be fine with Sue. We're just, it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine. We never need to talk about it again.
Fine.
Closet full.
Yeah, it's fine. Would you like a piece of cake? Dylan sneezed on it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I think we did it. I think we made it through this episode. I just can't deal with episodes like this without leaning into the silliness of 90210. You know what I mean?
I think we have to.
Yeah, it's too fucking depressing. It's like we can't just sit here and talk about child molestation for 45 minutes. Like, ugh.
Well, and because here's the thing. Whatever gravitas we can bring to this and resources we can put on wherever, like, I think it's still important to learn where to be silly, because this show is ridiculous. Like, it is. No matter what topics we can commend this show for bringing up, they did it in a ridiculous ass way.
Yeah, 45 minutes out. And also, in the middle, like, look, I know there's this whole thing where I've been accused, in Gil's defense, I know I've been accused of this, and I've got this horrible thing that happened last year. But Dylan, do you have a couple minutes I can talk to you about Friends of the Bay?
Again, everyone's just trying to erase trauma, but only bringing it up when it suits them. Which, boy, oh boy, if that ain't theater, people, I don't know what is.
Oh, trauma is useful for motivation. I don't fucking whatever. No. All right. We made it. We got to the end of it. And now it is time for some real shit. So, first of all, join us on Friday when it's possible we're going to watch All the President's Men.
Let's just do it. I've never seen it. It sounds good.
It's a great movie.
It's referenced here. That's an easy one.
It is. And again, I like, this is the thing, inside baseball for, all the cheesemeisters out there. I don't want to watch a movie about child molestation.
Shocker.
Like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to have fun with what we're doing. And it's hard to do when you watch there's no, I'm going to say this, Napoleon, like anyone could even know that. There's no comedies out there about child molestation that are funny and worth watching. Not that I remember. So you got to watch a drama, and ugh.
I'll say too, election aside, even though that's a big thing for a lot of people, we have enough to be depressed, stressed, and frustrated about. Like, we're here to bring levity,
I'd rather light
maybe your life.
I'd rather light a candle than curse your darkness. And that's what we're doing. We're lighting a candle here, folks. So, assuming we could make it work, but it was a movie in the 70s, so I'm sure there's people in it that were in there and spelling things. We'll probably watch All the President's Men, which is a fucking great movie, and also is about, presidential corruption. So, topical at all times.
I'm scared how this is gonna go down now.
It's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. Yeah. And we know Brandon loves it because he talked about him, and also the power of the high school press. Again, reporters just getting it done in this episode. But then join us here next week, Cheesemeisters, for season 3, episode 12, Destiny Rides Again. It sweeps. Okay, it's a November.
Find out.
It's a November episode, and so much shit happens. Like, you thought this episode had some things going on. Buckle up, Buttercup, because here we go.
Aaron's gonna accidentally set fire to the house. Kelly's gonna have to move in with Dylan. They're gonna bang it out, and then Brenda's gonna find out, and it's a whole mess. I have no idea what else insanity could ensue, but yeah.
I will say this. Remember a few weeks ago when I said that you predicted something that was shockingly accurate?
Oh no. Yes.
That happens in this next episode. Now it's just going to be, do you remember predicting it? Like, when you see it, will you be like, oh fuck, I said almost exactly this?
Oh God, I can't wait. I do not remember because my brain is.
I get it.
You know, we all know. All of our brains are mush.
Yep.
Definitely.
The only reason, I clocked it when you said it. I went, oh fuck, she kind of nailed that one. But then I heard it again when I was going back through and doing edits. So I'm like, oh, this is well timed. So yeah, Destiny Rides Again next week, Cheesemeisters. But until then, stay away from Uncle Henry. And in Gil's defense,
no. Have resources. There are so many. The internet is your friend, people. You can go online. How can I help someone in distress? You know?
Right. Yeah. Don't talk to Gil. It's probably...
Fire that man. Fire the person who's in charge of hiring at West Beverly.
Right, but if that's Mrs. Teasley, we don't... Experts should go home. All right.
It's not... If it's Mrs. Teasley, it's because they've given her too much work.
Yeah, when you've got 6 jobs, shit's going to slip through the cracks.
They said, oh, women can have it all. Want to see how much?
Look, like, women bring a lot of this on themselves by constantly trying to tell men what they have to do. I mean, if you just let Brandon not dance.
Oh my God.
And look, Dylan might have died from the bacteria in the ocean, but at least he didn't have to go. No, we're not going back. We're not going back.
Not going back.
Nope. All right. Until then, Cheesemeisters. Bye.